What is up, everybody? I had the exclusive availability to witness the new F1 movie starring Brad Pitt from the director of Top Gun Maverick, Joseph Kosinski, and the hit producer Jerry Bruckheimer. What a hit, man. What a moment. You cannot miss this. Like, literally, I'm not even kidding. Like, my initial encounter for this was post Top Gun Maverick because I had seen Top Gun Maverick in the theaters. That just blew my eardrums out. It was so incredible. I mean, it was really an achievement. And that was like, how could they make another one, right? Because the guy had also made a previous movie before that was successful, but this was even better. So then I follow up on Joseph Kosinski's news and films that are coming out and his projects through media and seeing the different articles and different stuff that come up to see what is his next film. And I was really down that rabbit hole of rumored attachments with F1. And then eventually I found out he's making a film with Brad Pitt, Kerry Condon. And you get to see some of those photos with Brad Pitt early on with the helmet, Kerry Condon at the actual track. And the experience of this film, once I actually got to see it, was incredible. I'll get into what that was beforehand with the actual getting to see how they followed up. But the actual experience, there's no shaky cam. It's top-notch stability. You could hear the roar of the vehicle, just as if you heard the roar of the airplane in the ships in the last one of Top Gun Maverick. You could hear the. It's real cool, and it's beautiful shots of weather. I mean, it's so clear. It's incredible. It is absolutely just amazing. I mean, if you look at, like, example, Hans Zimmer actually went to the real racetrack to actually make the real soundtrack for the film, like the real music. And I'm not lying. He wanted to see up close, up front, witness what it's like to replicate, the incredible achievement that is F1 racing and turn it into filmmaking for the score. And what Joseph Kosinski and him did, it was out of this world. So obviously they made Brad Pitt, of course, the style icon, showing up to racetracks in a full driver uniform, shaved head, and wearing a gold necklace on magazine covers. Seems cool and likable. Lewis Hamilton promoting the real experience and helping create this movie. Obviously, there's pictures of him with Tim Cook. There's even Brad Pitt with the Kelsey brothers on the Kelsey podcast, New Heights. Not only that, if you get to see it, you'll be blown away because I actually felt it was incredible. His connection, Brad Pitt's, his what he brings, that wiseness to the character, and how he's able to bring something that's so intelligent and so historical and something that is as if he was the one that actually went through the racing. And wow, that was just what a moment. And Brad Pitt, of course. It's funny, if guys think that Ryan Gosling is who everybody wants to be, it's now going to be Brad Pitt after seeing F1. They tried to replicate what Tom Cruise did in Top Gun Maverick, but it wasn't as much in Top Gun Maverick like Tom Cruise's other movies, but with Brad Pitt, replicate some of those scenes of the attractiveness. I'd say there's a good, 5 scenes that are each 5 minutes where he has his shirt off and he's just bathing in the bath with ripped abs. And girls come in and they're looking at him oh my gosh. They give a double look and walk away. They're like, holy smokes. If not in the bath, there's scenes where he's laying down or on the bed where he's having his abs out. It is just incredible. This guy's 61 and he still looks like he's in his early 20s. I mean, look, I know I'm going to talk about the box office. So it needs to pass 350 million, as that was the altogether budget, including advertising. Worldwide, right now, it's at 399.5 million. So that is satisfying. It could do better, but I think it's going to get another 80 million. I think it's going to reach $475 million. Million, as in millions. And of course, I personally think that this is a commercial success, and they took something that's so commercialized and made it really personal and intense and feel like you are having sympathy for the main driver of Brad Pitt. You feel his emotions and the integrity and the honest longevity and the pure honesty of his character and everything that goes about it. So I thought it was great. In terms of the story, I thought the story, they actually subverted some of the typical car movie techniques. Like there was moments I'm like, please don't have a typical moment. Please don't have a typical moment. And they subverted it, which was really cool. Not only that, I thought the actual moments of the character development, to the setups and payoffs, the developing of the character and finding out what happened to Brad Pitt too, in the end, where they end up having that beautiful ending. And I thought that was just the top it could be. Now, in terms of movies this year, this is in the top 5 by far. Probably 2 or 3, I'd say. Please go watch F1. You gotta see this movie, guys. Please go see it. Really. Please, I'm begging you. I'm your boy Owen, Oshap, and I'm out. See you guys. 10 out of 10. What is up, everybody? It is Owen Shapiro. Today, I'm going to be talking about Stranger Things 5, Season 5. Okay, obviously the teaser came out, the trailer came out. I'm going to talk about my predictions. So obviously, spoilers. If you haven't seen Stranger Things, please go watch it. Fun show, great time, very nostalgic. Bring everybody, if you're from the 80s or if you're from the 2010s, you'll love this show. So everybody go watch it. All right, now I'm going to get into spoilers now. So, look, obviously we know what happened, and we know about the blindness with Max, and we know about what happened to these characters, and we know about how Eddie ended up dying, and we know this is where the story has taken us from the beginning with them as just on a journey, you know, the Goonies, right? They're, well, obviously maybe not Goonies, but they're projecting themselves as the Goonies. Okay. And now in season 5, my prediction is that I think that all of them are going to die. I actually think that there's going to be a huge thing, and I think all of them are going to end up dying in the final season. And they're going to have a huge memorial, all of that. Why do I think that is? If one of them dies, I think that might make it a little bit like, okay, one, if 2 die, if half of them die. But if all of them die, then they're going to be like memorialized. They're going to have like an entire huge thing about the memories of them in the story. And what do I think that'll happen? I think that 11 is going to save the day. And I think also the main character is going to help 11. And I actually think they're all going to end up dying. Kind of crazy, I know, right? But that is what I believe is going to happen. So let's look back. So you got season 1 with the Upside Down, season 2 exploring the Upside Down more, season 3, which is my favorite. You got season 4, which was probably controversial. Season 5, I believe, will be even more insane. But I think they're going to have to pull it off. Sometimes I worry because I heard that Game of Thrones didn't end the right way. All these other shows didn't end the right way. And I believe that Stranger Things 5 has got to get it right. They got to get that final where there's memorial. You know, you gotta make sure we're giving them respect. Okay? That is my personal take on that. Now, I've heard rumors of a Stranger Things prequel. I personally think they're going to market a prequel to this. That's my personal opinion. There's going to be an Easter egg to a prequel. I have not seen the play on Broadway. I have not seen any of that. But, you know, obviously the dude's like, oh, I'm normal. My name is Byron. I'm normal. I personally think that that's going to be a part of the prequel also. So that will be really interesting to see. So what is everyone's takes on Stranger Things Season 5? Do you think they're all going to die? Do you think one of them is going to die? Do you think 11? Do you think anybody else will die? All right. What do you think your predictions are? You think they'll be more bloody? You think it'll be more horrifying? Maybe it'll be more horrific. All right. I'm your boy Oshap, and I'm out. See you guys. Stay cinematic. What is up, everybody? It is Owen Shapiro. Today I'm going to talk about why streaming is the new drive-in theaters, and people should be more open to watching movies and streaming and on YouTube, while I do think it is the best place to watch in the theaters, is specifically that area. I also believe that streaming and YouTube and these other platforms are something that will come around and go. Okay. And so I think it's good that we have these platforms, because I personally feel like if we don't have these platforms, then a lot of filmmakers will not have the opportunity to get their films made. And not only that, the filmmakers who are having their films go to streaming, they may not have as many people have them watch their films. Think about it. I'll get into this. So, news for today. Of course, we got the Jurassic Park film, that new one that just came out. We have Fantastic Four. Superman is doing pretty good. There's a little bit less drama with that, and everybody seems to be more on board with that. Of course, sports is happening. The new NFL season kicks off. I already gave my predictions. We have tons of craziness going on in the world, but I want to get to movies and my craziness with movies and my controversial picks and takes. So if you guys remember, in the 70s and 80s, drive-in theaters were a pretty big thing, right? They were pretty huge. I mean, everybody was going in, they were going to see the movie, they'd go in their cars, right? And like streaming, it wouldn't make as much money, but at the same time, it was still something that people wanted to go see, and it was still something that people valued. A lot of people would rather go to drive-in theaters rather than go to movies in the theater. And look, it made money, but it didn't make the amount of money that movies in the theaters directly would have. But at the same time, some movies that would go directly into the theaters and not make money, they would make less than the ones in the drive-in theaters. So that means the ones in the drive-in theaters are at least the same amount or more valued than the ones in the theaters. And this is me as a person who believes that every movie should be in the theaters. That's my personal take, okay? Now, I feel like this is the same case with streaming. A lot of people are worried that streaming isn't gonna, it's gonna ruin, cinema. It's gonna destroy the whole society of filmmaking. This is the end of cinema. I think there are other things that are the end of cinema, but personally, I believe that streaming is just another drive-in theater. It's just a new way that watching films is transformed. Same thing with YouTube. It's a new way, and actually, I personally think, besides that people are going to see a film right on their phone or right on their computer or right on their TV, I think this is good to get new filmmakers on YouTube, on these platforms, even if it's TikTok or Instagram, because at least we're getting to see them put stuff out. And I know a lot of the older filmmakers will say, well, you need to work harder. Well, back in my day, I used to do all this to get my film in the theater and get all this to get my film the budget and stuff, which is completely justified. And I think that's completely correct. Like, I know. But at the same time, you got to realize today we should have the opportunity to get our films out there, whether it was difficult or not. I think every film should be showed. All right. So, example, if we showed a film in the theaters, right? Every film should be in the theaters. But if not, why not put it out there on YouTube? Why not be able to have it on streaming like Prime Video, or have it picked up by a streaming service, maybe HBO Max or possibly Netflix? Okay. Why not? All right. I don't see what the hurt is for it. If you're so pushing for having movies in the theaters, if it can't get in the theaters, why not push for it to get online? That's another way to get the film seen, right? So look, I'm 100% movie theaters first, right? But my other opinion is that I feel there should be other ways to get your film shown, okay? It's not just the theaters, okay? The platform and the way you could availably actually see a film is more than just the theaters. Sometimes it's through other ways. Like, example, if someone would be like, hey, I want to show your film in this low budget theater, right? I want to show it. But the guys who run films, right? The directors like Scorsese and Coppola, they'll be like, well, maybe that's not really in a real theater, which is where I think we can come to a common ground. Everybody wants their films in the theaters. But if you can't get it in the theaters, there should be opportunities like those smaller theaters, like streaming, like YouTube, like HBO and Prime. Okay, we should be able to have that opportunity. I think it's extremely important. Okay, I mean, at the end of the day, if you look at it, like films during the pandemic, if they had prioritized them on streaming, it would have completely, which they did prioritize them, but if they would have said no films in theaters, were completely streaming, right? I'm pretty sure we would rarely have any films in the theaters nowadays. But at the same time, not only would this make money, but this will become something where it's television, right? But that's okay, because if it's television, then it's going to go to YouTube. And if people are making films on YouTube, then the money economy, the economy will value films, will value social media, will value YouTube to have people put their films on there. So let's say Scorsese has a film that goes on YouTube. I bet you if he marketed it for the streaming, I bet you if all these filmmakers marketed their films for the streaming, they would make the money. Not only that, their films would grow. They'd become something new. They'd find new ways to make it better and better. And once again, I'm movie theaters first, IMAX, the big screen first. But if there isn't a way to get it on there, there should be a complete opportunity to have it on streaming, have it on YouTube. So once again, everybody, if you want to make films, put it on YouTube, okay? I'm telling you this right now. YouTube is going to be a big thing for streaming. I think most films in 10 years from now, 15 years, they are going to be on YouTube. I'm telling you this right now, okay? That's where almost all the big filmmakers are coming from. They're putting their films on YouTube. Then they have the opportunity to make bigger films. Put your films on YouTube, get them made, have ways to get them to be the best they can be, okay? Just like Scorsese says, make your own industry. You create your own path. You don't have to tell people what, have people tell you what you're doing. Eventually, if you do that, people will recognize you. Not only that, you're making the films you want to make. And I completely agree with Scorsese on the big screen. I completely agree with my favorite director, Christopher Nolan, and Coppola on the big screen. I just believe there should be other ways to get our films out there on YouTube, or besides just putting them in AMC for like 12 weeks or 16 weeks. I think there should be other ways to do it. So anyway, guys, I'm your boy Oshap, Owen Shapiro. I'm out. See you guys. Bye. What is up, everybody? It is Owen Shapiro back at the OSHAP podcast. Today, I got some positive stuff that we can talk about, some positive things that everyone can do, is I can improve, everyone can improve on to get a greater outlook and to be at our best and achieve our highest. So I want to talk about how I've been going to the gym every day for 6 months in 2025. And I've been going to the gym for 2.5 years, but this year specifically, I've went every single day, and I plan to go every day the rest of the year. And I plan to go even higher goals in 2026. So let me start out with the beginning of why I started working out at the gym. So in the beginning, I had a few dark years. They were not the best moments. Let me say that for sure. I always wanted to work hard, but I didn't know how to focus it. Like, I had passions, but I'd come up with different creative ideas and different things. But I didn't know how to actually focus it. And I'm like, you know what? I need consistency. I need to have a compromise with myself and get myself in a routine and ways I can positively improve. So I started going to the gym. I started doing, the basic weights, right? I'm not going too heavy, because the thing is once again, everyone has their own methods. You don't actually have to follow my method. You don't have to follow anyone else's methods. It's you, like Scorsese says, you make your own way. You figure out what's right for you. And that's what I tried to do for me. I tried to figure out what is right for me. So I started out with 5-pound weights, curling with the biceps. But I also did ab workouts. I did those about 3 days a week. I did pretty much similar to sit-ups, or actually it was similar to crunches, but it wasn't exact. It was a similar workout that you'd find online. But eventually I got to crunches, but I'll tell you how I got there. So I was doing that for about a good 6 months, improving that overall. And then I started to realize, not only am I improving as someone working out and getting better with, my exercise and my health, I'm starting to form a better consistency in my life where I'm being more reliable. I'm showing up to things on time. I'm achieving goals that at the time might have been pretty basic for the situation. But I started to realize that if I have a consistency of trying to improve, trying to get better every week, from months to weeks to days to hours, but I want it to be natural. I started to realize I can do it. Other people can do it. They found their own way. I can find mine. So I continued going to the gym, of course, and eventually I started to realize, I'm slowly going up and up with the weights, right? And slowly having a different situation. I can do this. So I was like, what I did was I said, you know what? Summer breaks, winter breaks. I'm going to work out every single day. So summer worked out every single day. I did biceps 3 times a week, but I did abs every day. And, it was fun. It was a fun thing. It was something where it's like, you know what? This is a fun goal. This is something I can always improve on, but I'm doing it in an organized, realistic, natural, and positive way. It's not just like I'm trying, but I don't really have a goal. So like as a kid, when I was in my young teens, I actually did a bit of working out, but it wasn't consistent. I was just figuring it out. But, as I got older, there would be, dark times, positive times, and I tried to get off of those dark times by working out, and they would help in the moment, but it wouldn't be consistent. So, and obviously I wasn't an adult. I didn't have a car. I wasn't in college. I wasn't pursuing a career. I wasn't making films like I am, starting a podcast, right? So, of course, I always tried to have a positive outlook. And, I watched videos from like Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant, and all these other motivators about like, if you have to believe in yourself first, and you need to show why you're willing to work hard, why you're a great teammate, and why you can set the standard. If you're being a positive influence and why you are the one that's creating a positive outlook and a positive chemistry and showing that you can work out and work hard and be at your best and try to achieve high goals, that is something that you will go lengths, miles, years, decades, eras. And I believe that was something I feel like I can achieve if I'm just at my most positive. I believe I could be a positive influence, and that is my goal. So, I started working out every day during that summer. Eventually, I was like, you know what? I can work out every day during the year too. So, but I didn't force myself into it. I did not force myself into it. First, I did every day that summer. I still continued with 3 times a week doing the biceps and 5 days a week doing the abs. But eventually it became to next summer, I started doing the same thing every day like I did. And then when it came to fall, so my first time at an actual university, this is going from community college to university, I was working out a lot, like almost every day. And it became to the point that I was like, I want to work out every day, but I want to put myself in a consistent spot. I don't want to get so far where I fall down, right? Like I don't want to do stuff that's inconsistent. So when it came to 2025, I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm working out every day. If I fail, I'll know I have failed trying to get the most positive goal, my highest self, my best self, my greatest Owen can be, doing what's best for Owen, putting Owen first, OWEN. So I did that, and I've been working out every year, 2025. And right now it's July 24th, 2025, and this has just been a really positive experience. And I don't feel there's anything anybody can say about me about how hard I work. Obviously, I can always improve. I want to improve. I can always want to show improvement. And I believe everyone can too. I think that's what's so great about working out also, is we can always improve. And trying to find a new way to find goals. Now it's like I'm trying to find new things to improve on. I really want to improve, going through every single goal. And so, of course, I've been doing abs every day. I keep going higher and higher with the weights, keep doing biceps 3 times a week, keep doing higher and higher with those weights. And I'm really just having a positive experience, and I'm really proud of myself. And once again, guys and gals, if you can work out every day too, you can have a positive experience. Sometimes what it takes is someone to believe in you. And I believe in you. I believe if you start maybe small, right, but consistent, small but consistent, you can get there. You can get there. Just believe me. Have an organized way of going about it, but also make it fun. Like, you want to reach something positive. This is not something that you're doing out of like a huge rude ego or out of something where you want to say you're better than anyone else. I don't go for the gym for any other reason, just except because I want to be as positive and be a positive influence and motivate myself in the greatest way possible to reach my highest goals, highest influence, highest achievements. And once again, it's been a huge success for me. So where does that stand me now? Not only that, it inspired me to eat healthier too. Not for out of force. I eat what I want to eat. Everyone eats what they want to eat. I know there's sometimes other eating addictions and things, but that's a different situation. But with me, I don't eat much meat in the first place. So what I decided to do, I was like, okay, maybe a month every year, try to do a different type of diet. It doesn't have to be strict. It doesn't have to be exact. You can have mini cheat hours every week. It doesn't need to be exact. But as long as you're showing the positive goal, the highest achievements and improvement, that is what stands. It's not perfection. There's no perfection. There's no 100. There's only 99.99. So one year I was like, let's do a month without eating candy. Did not eat candy for a month. Of course, after that month, I probably ate it maybe like 3 to 6 more times in the next few months. But I'm like, I don't really feel addicted to this. Like, I don't really feel the addiction to it anymore. So I stopped eating candy. I haven't ate candy in a year and a half. Then what else? Then I also last year, so in 2024, November 2024, I was vegan and gluten-free every day on weekdays. Well, yeah, it was on weekdays, but it was every day for a month. Now, eventually I ended up doing more of that because I was like, I don't really feel like I need that either. And so what I did was I have vegan, gluten-free foods on the weekdays. I have the non-vegan and gluten foods on the weekends. But then I just realized a good way to do this is, which I do now, is 2 meals of the day I eat extremely healthy. It doesn't need to be exact. Once again, everybody, there is no perfect. There is no perfect, okay? Nobody can be perfect. You have to do what's most positive for you. Do what's best for yourself. And so I pretty much, what ended up happening is that I pretty much eat vegan and gluten free 2 times a day. And then for one of the meals, I have gluten and non-vegan foods. But it's not, once again, let's example, if the second meal is gluten and non-vegan, that's okay. If the third meal is then gluten-free vegan, that's okay. Look, once again, you don't need to feel like you need to starve yourself. Just try to have a positive outlook on eating healthy. I've started to realize after working out and eating healthy is a healthy Owen is a happy Owen. And I really believe that. And it's not about perfection. It's not about strict. It's just about eating at what's the most positive, the best for you, and finding ways to accommodate for yourself. Everybody, please accommodate for yourself. So that leads me to my goals for next year. After 2025, I'm gonna think about what my goals are. Maybe I'll do twice a day. You never know. But I'm your boy Owen. I'm out. This is the OSHAP podcast. Stay cinematic, guys. What is up, everybody? It is Owen Shapiro on the OSHAP podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about a subject. It's a bit bigger. It's been talked about by Scorsese's, but also Zack Snyder fans. And it's art versus business, art versus commercials, art versus these words that people use to try to justify a film not being artistic. And here's my thing. I am sort of on the side of both. I don't think there's a black and white. There's a lot of gray. It's not paper to paper, cut to cut. I think what's great about this subject is a lot of people believe all films should be just straight up art. They have to be straight up art. That's the only way. It can only be art. And if it's not art, it's bad. It's not good. It won't last. It won't be interesting. Nothing. But here's the other side of it. People who love these commercial style films, like traditionally Michael Bay, which I think he's an incredible director. People who like those films, they say, well, it's interesting. It has
like a cool story, or it has cool scenes or cool subjects and cool aspects to it that make it fun to watch. And I think those are two sides that are both absolutely justified. So this is where you start to wonder, are a lot of these both sides two-sided fans, do they stick to one because it benefits them, or do they stick to the one because they like those the most? So my personal take is I believe business can show signs of art, and I think art can show signs of business. When it comes to the Snyder fans versus the James Gunn fans of like the artistic Superman of Zack Snyder's films, like Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, those are obviously more artistic films, while James Gunn's films are a lot more businesslike. But I think they both work incredibly. I think you have to have a balance, but I don't think you have to actually have a balance yourself. I think if you get to decide it, if you want a film to be made a certain way, you go ahead and make the film, and it can be independent just from the beginning. Or if you have the money, maybe hire actors and stuff, or hire a crew. I don't think it needs to be this idea of it must be artistic or it must be business. It must be ahead of its time, or it must be traditional and this typical stuff that we're used to. I think they both work incredibly. So, example, I'll give you an example. The Dark Knight series, widely considered the greatest superhero series ever, and in my standards, the greatest superhero trilogy ever, and the greatest trilogy of all time, by far, in my opinion. Um, I would consider those a mix of art and business, simply because it takes business tropes and it pushes the boundaries of the art that makes those business tropes. So it takes business and makes them artistic, the art of business. I don't think things need to be one or the other. Now, obviously, look, we've seen great movies, we've seen maybe not so good movies. That's all subjective, right? What's good is your opinion, what's bad is your opinion. But you know what isn't your opinion? You know what it is if you go out and make a film, you go out and make something, that completely changes everything, because now you're saying this is my perspective. And I think while I do agree with the people who like business in films and as making films, and people like art as making films, I think what would prove it more is if you go make your own stuff. All right, go make your own stuff and see how you would make a film, or maybe write a script. It doesn't have to be a script. Write storyboards. Write out stories. It doesn't have to be you're following everybody. Make your own way. Make your own things that people would call tropes. Make what you love so you can be criticized. Because if you're making what you love and being criticized, then that's the most respect anybody can have for you, because they know that you made it out of your own terms and not out of anyone else's saying. And I personally believe that if you're making a business film, you can put the art of the business. If you're making an art film, you can make it marketable, or you can find ways to make it marketable. I don't think it needs to be like it must be Wes Anderson or it must be Michael Bay. My favorite director is Christopher Nolan, a very artistic but also great director for the business of filmmaking, because once again, it's showing cool things you can add to film while keeping it in that independent style on a huger scope. Same thing with Scorsese. Same thing with Paul Thomas Anderson. Same thing with, even if I, maybe didn't 100% agree with Zack Snyder's films all the time, I always loved them and respect them, right? George Lucas. I think, well, here's the thing. I love George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, but I think they would admit, go make your own films, go find new people. Akira Kurosawa, a director from the 40s, 50s, and 60s up to the 90s. He was trying to create films, and he ended up creating his own ways, his own methods, all of that, to where George Lucas, where Steven Spielberg actually borrowed a lot of Seven Samurai, Akira Kurosawa's film, and put it as a way that's similar and a similar story in Saving Private Ryan. George Lucas, he himself, borrowed a lot of those methods, and Francis Ford Coppola, his Kurosawa mentored Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola. If you look at Orson Welles, he made his own path, his own way. You look at Fritz Lang, you look at Metropolis, they made their own way. Make your own way, make your own film. But there's nothing wrong with remaking movies. There's nothing wrong with going to the typical business. You can make your own way in that too. Make your own films, make your own auteuristic style and stories, make your own approach, make your own new wave of the French wave, make your own new wave, make your own vision, make what you believe is film, make what you believe is cinematic and cinematic masterpieces. Anyway, everybody, I'm your boy Owen Shapiro. I'm out. See you guys.